Britain's King Charles has addressed the German federal parliament at the Bundestag in Germany on the second day of his first overseas trip as a monarch. He said it was a great honor to be in the country and talked about historic ties between the UK and Germany. He thanked the German people for their warm wishes after the Queen died and highlighted the support they have shown to Ukraine. The King and Queen consort had been due to visit France last weekend, but the trip was postponed because of ongoing pension protests.
I can hardly begin to express the pride I feel in the strength of the partnership between our two countries. Germany, her people, and distinctive culture have made such a profound impact on me over so many years, so many of my previous visits. Since I first came to Germany, when I was just 13 years old, I have grown to become familiar with the different corners of this remarkable land. Like many British people, I have close personal ties here. In my case, cherished family relationships and associations that go back generations. For all of us, however, there are countless points of connection and common experience in the British-German story, which has unfolded over nearly 2 millennia.
All right, now Arise correspondent Lape Olarinoye has been monitoring developments and she joins us now from London for more. Good day, Lape. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get straight into it. How has King Charles's first international outing as king been received?
Well, it's been an interesting journey for the king and his queen consort. As you can imagine, this wasn't the intended first stop. As you rightly pointed out, it was meant to be France. Regardless of that, it has been a very welcoming state visit for him. He started off visiting the Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, and then, of course, today he has gone off to the Bundestag, the German parliament, where he gave a very resounding speech. It's actually speaking in German, very endearing from the king there, who I believe speaks a number of languages, including that speech. He said a lot of interesting elements, and I'll just take you through a few of the things that he touched on. Of course, he thanked the German people and, of course, German politicians for their kindness. He describes it as their extreme kindness when his mother passed away last September. He also spoke about their cultural and historical ties, touching on kind of their very interesting relationship with sport as well. And so on to more serious matters, he also described the relationship that Germany has had and the involvement that they've had since the war in Ukraine broke out, actually mentioning that they have so far taken on over 1 million refugees since that war broke out. So a lot of diplomatic points there, a lot of kind of historical points raised there, but all in all, it was very endearing. It was met with a resounding applause from the German politicians that we can see in those pictures there.
Thank you so much for that, Lakbi. Well, we know that this visit is also meant to improve relations, of course, between the European Union countries after all the tension over the pre and post Brexit. Now, what does this trip mean for the current relationship between the UK and Germany?
It's a very interesting question that you asked there, because a lot of people, question the existence of the royal family. Why do they exist? Why are they important? And this is one of the integral point of the royal family. They are essentially there, majority of the time, for soft diplomacy. People can recognize the royal family. People find them very endearing. People are able to identify them and see them and welcome them. And so for that reason, their state visits like this are very strategic in aiding soft diplomacy. As you rightly saw in those pictures there, the king spoke very clearly about the relationship that UK and Germany has and his intentions to continue that. Whether or not the UK has left geographically, economically and relationship-wise left the European Union, their history and their relationship still remains. And his visit is to kind of cement that, especially as the war in Ukraine Ukraine continues, that reassurance is very much needed. So a lot of this, these state visits and going to see those countries, especially strategically how close Germany is to the UK, is to reinforce that relationship. They intend for that relationship to continue to grow.
Now, of course, in his speech, he did highlight Ukraine and applauded Germany's position. And we've still been waiting with bated breath to see whether this king is going to be one who's going to be actively involved, if I may call it that, or at least more directly involved with foreign policy and international relations. Do we have any, can we say this is a litmus test of what to expect from him? Do we expect him to be a little bit political during his reign?
I think that was the premise for many people when his mother, the Queen, passed away. And of course, he immediately became king. A lot of people had a concern, if you like, across the world, whether or not the former Prince Charles, now King Charles III, was going to meddle. He's been described across the world as the meddling king. However, when his mother passed away back in September, he reassured people that this is a massive duty. This is a huge responsibility for him. And he intends on continuing that legacy that his mum left. We all know that the Queen was very neutral, didn't actively comment on political issues or actively get involved, and he intends on continuing that. Having said that, he has spoken very passionately about one of his interesting points, which is the environment. He's discussed climate during his time in Germany so far. So whether or not he will meddle or get directly involved in foreign policy is too early to say. However, there have been reassurances from not just the king, but from the institution of the monarchy that no such thing will be happening. And in fact, the position of the royal family in aiding soft diplomacy will continue.
I mean, in his speech, he did speak about the vital leadership that the two countries have shown since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And what we're hearing is that he's actually expected to make a stop where some of these refugees are going to be. Can you confirm that, Lakwe, and what is that going to involve?
Absolutely. In fact, he has just seen them about 20 minutes ago. Himself and his Queen Consort Camilla arrived at a refugee camp where over 1 million refugees from Ukraine are said to be living in. We've seen photos of him shaking hands with them, speaking to them, something which the royal family are very accustomed to doing. Several members of the royal family visit refugee camps, engage with people, speak to people that are directly affected by war and conflict. And so it's only right that this has been incorporated into his 3-day visit. And like I said, it's already happened, if not finished already. Just over about 30 minutes ago, he arrived there. And the next kind of things on his list will be to also visit an organic farm. Farming and agriculture, another thing that's very dear to the current king's heart. And then a lot of the things that he conducts, agriculture is at the center of it. He's also said to be visiting a military unit in Brandenburg as well, where he'll be met by military. There's no talk of a military parade happening just yet, something which the British, of course, are very familiar with, all the pomp and ceremony.
All right, Lakwe Olarinoye, Arise correspondent, thank you so much for your input and for those updates. Now.